What's up, YouTube? 2020 Tantra on Amazon. Info in the description. Shout out to my man Chad with the Good Life. That's where I'm currently located. And it's a handwritten Tao Te Ching on the floor right there. So anybody that knows anything about the Tao, when you write it and you speak it, it takes you to a whole nother place. It brings you back to yourself. Anything that brings you back to yourself is the Tao. So for me, reading it, seeing myself write it, speaking it, brings it to a whole nother level of embodiment to where you train the cells and then you become the Tao, or you realize the Tao. I wouldn't say that you become the light or you trap light. You realize the light within, and then you see the true contrast, and there is no separation. So, with that said, the light spectrum itself, you're always viewing the light spectrum. You can only see to the horizon as a human being. Through this vessel, you can only see to the horizon. So you get the light spectrum from here to the horizon. The Horus zone, which is infinity as far as, or the edge of infinity, however you want to look at it, the edge of your world, however you want to look at it, the firmament for your perception is the horizon, the Horus zone. So that's where heaven meets earth. That's where ether meets earth. That's where air meets ocean. And that's where hell meets heaven, however you want to look at it. So, or how thought meets emotion, however you want to look at it. See, this is where it's tough to separate things, but I guess we do it for the sake of conversation so that people can get the contrast and they can realize the nothing. They can realize the abundance once they realize that they are nothing. Because all definitions create weight, and to be identityless is to be weightless, and that is to be lighter than light. So then you can see the entire light spectrum if you don't identify with it. But only way to do that is to take that step back and to continue to align with the source of creation, which is within you, which is your center. So let me get back on course here with this light spectrum thing. I always got to preface though. So since male is female and dark is light, and we're talking about manifestation or man-I festation, again, man-I, Fe is iron on the periodic table, Fe. Fe is faith, and station would be, station or stationary. So that would be the nothing, or the stillness, or stillness in motion, however you look at it. Manifestation. So that's basically the man-I passing the iron to the station. So that's what creation is. All creation is stemming from this initial conception, this initial, however you want to look at it, the Big Bang or whatever you want to call it. Life, when you align with creation, you're aligning with that initial first, or if you want to call it a first, the beginning of the beginning, however you want to look at it, the beginning of nothing. That's a nice way to look at it, I guess, if you want to look at it, because the Tao itself is image without image. It is form. It has all forms, but it is no form, because that which has no form can enter where there is no space. So, get back into this light spectrum. The light spectrum, from male to female, or from dark to light, from Kali to Shiva, from Adam to Eve, however you want to look at this thing. Shu and Tefnut, from our Medu Netter peoples, however you want to look at this. It's yin and yang, Adam and Eve. So, you are in a spectrum of perception, an echelon of light in the light spectrum. So there's a extremely black person energetically, an extremely white person energetically. You can say it dark and light, however you want to look at it, because the darkest person is really the lightest. The sun is really black or ultraviolet, and the lightest person is really the darkest. So there's no separation in that. That's just the contrast. Once you can perceive the contrast fully, you can pierce the void and evolve past the human experience. So you can go into a closer inward spiral into the nothing, into the merger, because that's pretty much all it is. We separate to play with yourself, in a sense, to have enough separation to feel love, because that's what love is. It's the resonance or friction. It's the resonance between yin and yang. So in order to perceive that, to perceive connection, you need separation. So the greater the sense of separation, upon returning to oneness, the greater the sense of oneness. So that's the process of life itself. It's always a oneness, separation, oneness, separation, oneness, greater separation, back to oneness, and that's the contrast of life, and that's how consciousness expands, or however you want to look at it, or inspans, whatever your perception is, or no perception. So you're in an echelon of consciousness that is no different from any echelon of consciousness. Whether you're male or female, you are the Adam and the Eve, you are the mother and the father, or the Elohim within you. Whatever you want to say as far as identification, words will never do this justice. I'm just doing my best here. So, anyway, you are the Adam and the Eve, and there is an Adam to your Eve, and there's an Eve to your Adam externally. As you fill your cup, then you experience oneness, or experience oneness, fulfillment within. Then you attract, you get to the highest point of attraction, and then you realize it's not attraction, it's realizing within the horizon, within the light spectrum, that there is the Adam to your Eve, or the Eve to your Adam. Now, for the male to realize this is the path of least resistance. He's being pushed out of his mother like all of us. And the spine and the brain that you are is the sperm cell that you were, and your heart and your organs and your body is the egg that you come from. So you are your mother and your father. So your mother is pushing you out of her body, and you're going through the path of least resistance. It's out of the water into infinity. So with that said, you got the path of least resistance from the mother. As a male, for you, that would be no resistance within. Zero resistance within is true love. Because any type of resistance is separation, and then you have to fill those voids. So if you have to talk, if there isn't complete, direct empathy and telepathy, then that means there's a void that needs to be filled. That means that the light isn't there in the other person. That means there's separation. That means that the gap has to be filled. So in that process of alchemy, you have to talk or conversate rather than talk, and communicate this so that they realize the contrast, so that they can evolve, so that the light is instilled in them, so that you can connect. Connection is really closing the gap. Connection is realizing. So connection is actually realizing that the connection has always been there, and that there's no separation from it. So connection is more so realization, and it's the same thing with the source itself or with another person, because we're all sorcerers, light bearers, or however you want to look at it. We are the torch that is being tossed, that we toss to ourselves. However you want to look at it. So for the male, males typically left brain, living by auditory thought. So left brain that's your divine guidance as a male. Is whenever you are thinking, you are not being, because knowing is the ghost of being. So if a male is thinking, then he's trying. So and that means there's separation within him. So that he should be totally relaxed. That's the only way to have the full erection anyway. If the body is totally soft and relaxed and allowing and accepting and receiving, that is embodiment of the feminine. The true masculine appears feminine if you know the true principles of it. Because in order to have a complete erection, every other part of your body has to be soft for your body, for that to be hard. That's the contrast. That's how the male becomes the feminine. And that's how stillness and motion is masculine. All motion is masculine. Any motion is masculine. So the correct or the truest motion is stillness and motion. That is naturally inspired motion. That is motion that is effortless. So when you work with the energy that is abundant and apparent in the moment, in this breath right now, and you utilize the apparent energy, you become a parent, a father or mother of the world. So then you don't waste anything. So you fully utilize everything, and then you align with the master. So I'm getting off course here. So you got the path of least resistance from the mother, and the auditory thought that's guiding the father. But the visual thought is what the women go by. The female needs to see it. The female needs the male's vision to be clear. He needs to be a clear channel so that the vision, when she sees him, when she gets the vision just from his presence, then it'll be no resistance within her. If there's any resistance within him, then he's going to think. That creates separation. If it's any resistance within her, then her type of thinking is she's going to daydream. She's going to visualize and see what, she's going to overlay the true movie over top of the actual movie that she's submitting to, however you want to look at it. So that's the path of least resistance from male to female. So again, okay, let me get back to what I was saying. So the full erection is the body being fully soft, and the member can be fully hard, and the penis itself is the male clitoris. So again, you can't separate. Just like the brain and the spine is the sperm cell on any male or female, so you can't separate male or female. It's just bodies, and everything is a ratio of yin to yang or dark to light. There's no separation. So male is female, female is male. So since I was saying like stillness is motion, and the male knows, the woman flows because she's ultimate subconscious, ultimate separation is the female. She's ultimate, like ultimate separation, ultimate subconscious, because you're going from total oneness through the male principle into the female principle, and then into existence, back into the nothing when you supposedly pass or whatever. So that's how you go from the nothing through the father, through the mother, and the mother takes you back to the nothing that takes you back to the father through the mother, and that's how you can't separate them. So in your light spectrum that you're in, within your horizon, within your radius, you have these people that are the darkest and the lightest souls, and and they are you, they're reflections of you, and you can reincarnate through anybody you choose, but there is a direct reflection of you, somebody that you have complete empathy and telepathy with, to where there's no separation in the now. And if you were to reincarnate through them, then you gradually improve. Then you gradually take the stairs to heaven instead of the elevator, like ayahuasca or things like that. They could be an elevator that shoots you up there, but you got to take your steps. You got to take A to Z, and then you enjoy A to Z when you do it that way. And then people can see the reality in you when you do it organically like that, when you accept yourself and keep accepting yourself and keep taking that spiral inward. It's an inward spiral. It's not downward. It's an inward spiral into yourself. You're going within, and then that's how you see perspective. So then as you go within, it appears that you're stepping back, and you align with the Creator. So you as a person, you start to see you as just a body, and then you're the parents of that body. And then you give life, you align with creation, and you share life, and then you pass the torch to, you create a better template by cleaning this body. So then when you reincarnate, you pass the torch to yourself. And if you do it in just a subtle step, like if it's the direct reflection of you, that means it's a subtle improvement. And this shows itself in color too. If the male should be darker than the female, because the male is the light, like the sun is black. The female will always be like a slightly lighter in color, because it's a physical and a metaphysical expression. So the male is, the light's coming through him. He isn't the light, but the light is coming through him. So he's going to be darker because the light is the darkness. And the reflection of the light is the female. And as light reflects, it gets brighter and brighter and brighter and lighter and lighter. So the woman is lighter. Kali is the darkest energy, so she appears white. And the Shiva, he's the lightest energy, so he appears dark. This is the reality of it. It's just been flipped. You can look at it either way. Once you look at it both ways, then you can transcend both ways. So, but that's how the male is. If the male is darker because he is the light, then the female is cooler. She's cool. She's cooler. That's just the reality. That's the male and female principles. Supreme masculine is fire, go, go, go. Supreme feminine is water, calm, stop. So again, with the sex, the male should be completely soft, the erection should be completely hard, the female should be completely inspired and completely in motion. Stillness in motion though, naturally inspired motion. So she'll take on the masculine principle by being inspired to align with this alignment. This is an alignment. So she gets on the alignment stick, however you want to look at it, and the motion that she creates as water, the movement that she's making is masculine, because all movement is masculine. But if it's naturally inspired, then it's rhythmic and it's effortless. So then you create effortlessly. So then the baby is created consciously and effortlessly and peacefully. So that means it doesn't need anything. And there's no separation from creator to created. But when you have a great contrast from dark to light, like if I was to be a really white energy and I got with a really contrasting energy, then it's going to create more separation in the passing of the torch. It's not a gradual, gentle pass. You fill your cup, you fill in the void in the most gentle way possible, and then your void gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So then you create a trajectory. It's not about what you have. It's not about the color that you have supposedly right now. Because this right now it's not. If somebody asks what time it is, by the time you get the time, it's no longer that time. So it's not about what you have. It's about where what you have is going. So it's about the trajectory. Because it's just your reflection. So your immortal reflection. So you want to keep the reflection going. So you can continue to align with the source. So that you're not forgetting. You're remembering and forgiving. So selfless giving. So as you align with the source, then you can see all as a reflection in general. But let me go into this. Let me step back a little bit here and catch a breath. So, as a male, if you don't see anything within your spectrum, and that goes for the Instagram and all that too, because it's all in the now. All creation is in the now, to evolve right now. So if you don't find any viable soil to plant the seed in, you will go to sleep. And when you go, because you got to go to the darkness, return to the mother. So when you do that, then you go into one of your supposed past lives or future lives or whatever, and then you make the gradual move towards the path of least resistance. And you keep doing that gradual move, because again, in a quantum sense, you never move. So it's a gradual movement. And again, the light, okay, this is what I was saying. I ran out of breath. So the light is never where it's at. As soon as your eyes see something, they have to send the message to the brain. So by the time the brain sees it, it's not even in that position anymore. So light is in motion. It's never in one place. So the stillness in motion. So in order to stay immortal, you want to make gradual steps and gradual changes and small changes in the system. Not like these crazy contrasts, because then you're passing to a random ancestor. It's not, you can synchronize. It would take you years of synchronicity, breathing at the same time, synchronizing breath, eating the same things, to fill that void, to synchronize to where you can pass the torch without separation within the child's system. So where you don't see separation with them, they don't see separation with you. Your thoughts are their thoughts, your feelings are their feelings, and there's a trust there because there's no separation. And then that's how you stay immortal, vicariously and actually. As you step back, you align with creation, you share life, give life, whatever. You step back, you stop identifying with the person that's supposedly center stage that you've identified with your whole life, or whatever, this person or persona that you succumb to as far as your identity, where your light is, what you focus on and identify with. As you share life and become more selfless, then you can step back from that person and align with the original source. So that as you do that, then you will no longer identify with the humanity, but you have it. You just don't possess it. The more that you try to possess humanity and control it, the more you lose control. Again, if you realize that all evil is inside of you, then you control it. But if you ignore that fact, then you're going to project the evil all around you and lose control of it. So, as a male, if there is no females in the view, if you can't pick up the Instagram right now and find a female egg that resonates at your level, that will advance you and has that light and that technology within it to advance you, and you're not, or your light isn't there, then you're going to have to keep breathing and keep going to sleep and making the subtle movements in quantum time and quantum trajectory until you realize the path of least resistance in the now, within this horizon that you live in. And then you'll realize that you've never moved ever in your life. So, because in the person that's external to you, the external you, the you, me, they've never moved either. They've always been there in the room. The universe has always been in the room with you. It's just the quantum illusion of separation between dark and light that's happening here. That, because if you're a white person, then you're just you might be just a really fragmented black person. And if you're a black person, you're a really together white person, however you want to look at it. Because the darkness is the light, and the more sunlight you get, the darker you get. The sun is black, which is the light. So, again, with the stillness and motion thing, if you were to not be able to find the correct egg, then you have to continue to bury the seed within you and store and store and store and bury the seed into the darkness within you and go deeper and darker within you deeper and deeper and deeper within you, and store that seed and collect more light, realize more light, so that you can realize truer wounds, and then your reincarnation would you would have more less, in a sense. You'd have less attachment and more intelligence, and melanin is intelligence. So it's about the trajectory of the melanin though, and the cup that you currently have, because you can have a small cup, so you don't require as much melanin in this lifetime to fill the cup, so that you keep taking a step to fill the next cup. You reincarnate through the next egg, and there's no separation, because the external you can go through a conscious birth and collapse all past lives. Because if you are having a child with the external you that you have complete telepathy and empathy with, then it's the same thing with the child. Then you watch the whole birth, you study their whole life, you see how many breaths per minute they require, and then that resets you, because you have the child that's you. Then they remember their birth through you, because there's no separation. So, and remember it from all perspectives. If you do natural birth, male, female, everybody's conscious, no going under, no chemicals, no drugs, all consciousness. If you're doing it like that, then you can study yourself through yourself that way, through the process. And that's how you can collapse all past lives. And that's how you can continue to, with this organic technology, to realize infinity and continue, to evolve. Instead of devolve, separate, need more machine to replace those parts that you forget. Because there's a path of least resistance. And your energy is going down there. Your soul's going down there. Your body is your soul in slow motion. So any part of the body that is resistant to that will be left behind and fragmented and left behind. So any injuries you have, that's the resistant parts of the body on the path of least resistance being left behind, being shredded and left behind. So you have a knee injury or something, say there's a path of least resistance, you're going down. And then if you have a resistance in your knee, emotional inflexibility, in your knee, you're going to bang your knee on this wall and injure it. And the same thing, elbows, all this, whatever injury you have, you're going down this path of least resistance whether you like it or not. You can go fragment through a bunch of children, but it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter how many children you have with the wrong person. It's still the same child with the right person, because it's just a misaligned child. If you're having a child with the wrong person, that means the Adam to your Eve or the Eve to your Adam is doing the same thing. So that means, that's how you're taking care of these children that aren't yours. They're taking care of children that aren't yours, but then you don't see separation because it's just a mirror. And then when you meet each other, then you can finally realize, you'll be over yourself by that point. You have a bunch of kids, each other, you Brady Bunch it. Then you can realize each other, realize the other side, and then, unify that yin and yang and show everybody how to do it. You create the correct pattern. It's not about talking. Talking is exhaustion. Conversation is another bag, though. So you bury the seed within you in the darkness. And if you're not, and if you're releasing seed, then you're bringing the darkness, which is the light, into the light. And that's why you have the white, the sperm itself. You shouldn't see it. Should be all creation should be done in the darkness. The germination should be done in the darkness. And you should see it within instead of looking at it. So whenever you see white in general, it's basically an ejaculation or a petit mort, loss of consciousness, decaying light. Money itself is decaying breath or decaying light, or a breath converted into debt, however you want to look at it. So white people, or wherever, white sugar, or things that are created from those stimulations are basically just ejaculations. Those are all products of ejaculation. Those are all products of unconscious birth from the initial Adam and Eve. All people. So when you align with the source, then you don't see separation, and you align with the original sex that is yours, because you don't see separation from you to anyone in the quantum sense. You don't see separation if you're truly you and you filled your cup. If you haven't filled your cup, then you see separation. If you're not filling your cup, then the past, you emptied the cup, so then you hate the past. Or, you're emptying your cup now, so in the future, you hate you hate yourself. So then you're on your way to that hate. And then once you resolve that through the breath, by getting beyond the breath, the yin and the yang, by breathing, and then holding the breath, fully holding it, being comfortable with holding, and then fully releasing, giving birth and nourishing, and letting go, having but not possessing. That's what that is. So then you can have children, they can die. All the energy comes back to the source. It doesn't matter. It's all selfless giving, and then there's no separation, and then there's no fear. The fear comes from separation. So 2020 Tantra on Amazon, info in the description. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, or pretty much any social media, Twitter. TaylorBud19 is my Twitter, I feel. Um, that's really about it. It's all about the trajectory. It's all about where you're going. So burying the seed so that you can attract greater, or realize the light spectrum more, so you can step back with the source. And you can realize, then you're realizing that you're controlling the whole world by controlling this one relationship of Adam and Eve. You just play with the world through Adam and Eve, through this avatar that you've created. So I don't know if I've said too much or not enough, but I'll always have more, because less is more. And I'll keep reducing this void and filling it gently and reducing, and filling it gently and reducing, and then eventually, the nothing will fill everything. Because you gotta look at it like that. As soon as you realize that nothing is something, then you realize that the breath again is everything, and all energy is the breath in various densities. So anytime that you don't have money or you feel any lack, you can fill all those gaps with the breath. Oh, this is what I want to say. Is you have an arrangement. Again, harmony shows itself. The source shows itself. Ether, air, fire, water, earth. That's the harmony. So then you have ether, male principle, female principle, infinity. So that's the harmony, right? That's what's going on. So when you create the contrast and you jump from in de-evolution, in separation, because again, separation, is nothing wrong with it. If you're doing it gradually and peacefully, then it's a gradual sense of separation, and then it's peacefully done, and then you return back to the source. Because the only way to rise is to fall. So that it's nothing wrong with anything. It's this all for perspective. So whenever you rob yourself of opportunity, you rape yourself. And that's how we create rapists in the world. That's how we create separation in the world. So we need to take advantage of every breath, to be virtuous in every breath. And the way to do that is arrangement, proper arrangement of the elements and proper arrangement in general. Proper emotional arrangement. It's all about the arrangement, because the lemons are here. Just arrange the lemons. You're going to keep giving lemons your whole life, every breath, and you just keep arranging them. That's what alchemy is. And, it's realizing that you are not taking credit. You're the one giving or creating the credit. So when you jump in your trajectory like that, you create mad separation between male and female, and dark and light. So it's all about that gentle void filling. It's about them gentle steps. And then there's no separation in it. And then you can enjoy either spiral inward or outward. And nothing is offensive. Trauma doesn't make you real. Realizing it's not real is what makes you real. 2020 Tantra on Amazon, info in the description.